There is a point in life when you realize something uncomfortable. The faces change, the circumstances change, but the emotional experience stays the same. The same distance, the same confusion, the same feeling of investing more than you receive. And you start asking yourself a question that most people avoid for years. Why does this keep happening to me? This is not about intelligence, and it is not about age. Many men reach their 40s, 50s, or even later, and still find themselves in the same emotional cycles they experienced decades earlier. You would think experience alone would fix it, but experience does not override conditioning. Your nervous system does not prioritize what is good for you. It prioritizes what is familiar to you. If emotional distance, inconsistency, or unpredictability was part of your early emotional environment, your nervous system learned to associate those feelings with connection. Not because they were healthy, but because they were normal. And what feels normal feels safe, even when it causes pain. This is the foundation of why relationship patterns repeat. Your unconscious mind is running emotional programs you did not consciously choose. Most people believe they make relationship decisions logically. But the truth is, emotional familiarity drives attraction more than logic ever will. Your unconscious mind stores emotional memories, especially those formed early in life. These memories shape what feels right and what feels wrong. If you grew up feeling like you had to earn attention, prove your worth, or tolerate emotional distance, your brain adapted. It learned that love requires effort, uncertainty, or endurance. Later in life, when you meet someone who is calm, available, and consistent, your nervous system may not feel excitement. It may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. Meanwhile, someone who is emotionally unpredictable feels strangely compelling. This is not weakness. This is conditioning. The first practical step to breaking this is awareness. Look at your past relationships honestly. Identify the emotional patterns, not the personalities. Were they emotionally distant? Were they inconsistent? Did you feel like you had to prove yourself? When you identify the pattern, you expose the program. Emotional triggers are signals, not problems. When someone pulls away and you feel anxiety, frustration, or urgency, that reaction is not just about the present moment. It is your nervous system reacting to emotional memory. Triggers expose unresolved emotional injuries. They reveal where your sense of security depends on external validation instead of internal stability. Instead of reacting immediately, just pause for a moment and observe the feeling. Try to identify what you're actually afraid of in that moment. Is it, abandonment, rejection, or perhaps not being valued? Naming the fear, well, it reduces its unconscious control over your behavior. And over time, this practice really does weaken automatic reactions and strengthens your emotional stability. You may be, quite unconsciously, trying to resolve an old emotional wound. Many repeated relationship patterns are actually attempts to resolve unresolved emotional experiences from earlier life. Your mind seeks resolution. It seeks closure. It seeks to correct what once felt incomplete. For example, if you once felt unseen or unimportant, you may find yourself drawn to people who make you feel that way again. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because your mind believes, well, this time the outcome will be different. This is not conscious, it happens automatically. But the result is often the same, because the pattern is internal, not external. Breaking this cycle requires recognizing that the present person is not the original source of the wound. The emotional pattern existed before they arrived. Once you understand this, you stop trying to resolve the past through the present. Stability can feel uncomfortable when you're not used to it. Many people, often unknowingly, sabotage stable relationships because stability feels unfamiliar. Without emotional highs and lows, the nervous system does not receive the stimulation it associates with connection. Calm can feel like boredom. Consistency can feel like, well, a lack of interest. This often leads people to withdraw, lose interest, or even create problems where, honestly, none exist. To break this, you must learn to tolerate stability. When things are calm, resist the urge to create emotional intensity. Allow yourself to experience consistency without interpreting it as something negative. This retrains your nervous system to accept peace as safe. You break the pattern by changing your responses, not by finding different people. The most important truth is this: the pattern does not break when you meet a different person. It breaks when you respond differently. If you continue reacting from the same emotional conditioning, you will recreate the same dynamic with someone new. But when you slow down, observe your reactions, and choose your responses consciously, the pattern really does lose its power. This requires discipline. It requires honesty, and it requires patience. Pay attention to your emotional impulses. Notice when you feel drawn to emotional distance or instability. Question whether that attraction is coming from health or just familiarity. Over time, your decisions begin to reflect awareness instead of conditioning. Real change begins when you understand yourself instead of blaming circumstance. Blaming circumstance keeps you stuck. Understanding yourself gives you control. When you recognize that your nervous system has been operating on old emotional programs, you gain the ability to update those programs. You stop repeating the past without realizing it. You stop chasing emotional experiences that reinforce old wounds. And you begin building relationships based on stability, clarity, and mutual respect. This is how the cycle ends. If you found this valuable and want more serious psychological insights that help you understand yourself and break lifelong patterns, subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who needs to hear it.